Could the 49ers look to bring in edge pass rusher Dante Fowler Jr.? Let's get into it. Alrighty guys, welcome back to another episode of Shifty's 49ers Talk. It's your boy Shifty. This one goes out to Niner fans near, far, NFL fans, sports fans. You are all welcome here. Today we are talking about whether the 49ers should look to bring in recently released edge pass rusher Dante Fowler Jr. This is a really interesting player. Let's talk a little bit about Dante's history. Well, entering the league, he was the third overall pick with the Jacksonville Jaguars. He had some okay years in Jacksonville. For a player picked that high, you would definitely like to see a bigger impact. He then went and moved on to the LA Rams, and he had a really nice season in 2019, playing beside the likes of Aaron Donald. I believe he had 11 and a half sacks. He had a couple of forced fumbles. He actually had a touchdown with the Rams that season, I believe, on a fumble recovery. Then, after that year, he earns a big contract in Atlanta, which, unfortunately for the Falcons, he really didn't live up to that. I don't think he was dreadful, but considering the money that he was making, definitely wasn't worth it, and that's obviously a big reason why the Falcons decided to cut him as he entered the third year of his 3-year contract, which was 3 years, $45 million. So that's a big contract, but they decided to move on from him, obviously for salary cap reasons, and maybe they have some other guys in mind that they would like to bring in at that position. So because he was released, that means he is available to sign with any team right now. Don't have to wait for the free agency window to open up. So if the 49ers were to bring in Dante Fowler Jr., I think that would be a good move because I think he's a good player. I think he's a number 2 or number 3 pass rusher. What I mean by that is I don't think he should ever be the primary guy who's going to get after the quarterback who you're going to rely on. He's not a Nick Bosa. He's not an Aaron Donald. And I know they play different positions, but, it's one of those things where he's not the main guy who is going to command double teams and still force pressure on the quarterback. So I think in San Francisco, he would actually fit in really well here, considering we have Nick Bosa, who's one of the best in the game. We have Eric Armstead, who's played really well and especially plays well later in the season and in the playoffs. Then we have other guys around them who I really hope we bring back in terms of DJ Jones. There's some rotation guys like Ebukam and Omenahu. Javon Kinlaw will be coming back from injury too. So there's a lot of other guys on our defensive line, which would take the focus away from him. So, I'm never going to complain about adding a guy to the team who is clearly talented, has some talent, who could make a positive impact on the team, and is still relatively young. He's 27 right now. He's going to be turning 28 right around the time that preseason starts. So he's still got, a number of good years ahead of him. However, I think what he would probably want to look for right now, and especially if he were to come with the 49ers, look, if he got a multi-year deal for big money, I'm sure he'd like that. But I think what his agent and what he might look to do is look at the 49ers and what we've done with guys. So we brought in Kerry, Hyder, and then he was kind of like an unknown guy around the league. He plays in San Francisco for a year and then earns a nice contract in Seattle. Last offseason, we brought in Arden Key. His career was very underwhelming, and then he shows a lot of, potential, and he played really well down the stretch for the 49ers. So he's going to earn himself with a big contract with a team. I hope it's with the 49ers, but maybe another team. So, should Dante Fowler, he could look at the Niners as a team that, A, is really good. We were just in the NFC Championship game and almost won that game, so it's not like he's going to some rebuilding team, He's going to go to a team that's looking to win a Super Bowl right now. He's going to be surrounded by a lot of good players. He's going to get great coaching with Kasorik, and he could maybe sign a 1-year deal with the 49ers, boost up his value, and then maybe earn another big contract next offseason, because we know there is always a demand for edge pass rushers in the NFL. So the Niners could be a perfect fit for him on a 1-year deal. So if we do bring in a guy like Dante Fowler, I would like it on a 1-year deal. However, by bringing him in, I think that would basically rule out any possibility of us being able to bring back a guy like Arden Key. So that would definitely be a bummer, because I really do like what Arden Key has done with us this year. You know, a guy who can rush from the inside, can also rush from the edge, but brings a lot of different skills than a lot of other players that we've had on the roster. And he just played so well down the stretch that I think, you know, it would be a shame to lose him. But, you know, of course, if Arden Key then goes off and signs a big contract somewhere else, at the very least, that means we should get a decent compensatory pick out of it. But overall, I mean, between the two, I would rather have Arden Key, let's say on a 3-year, $5 to $6 million a year deal, as opposed to Dante Fowler on a 1-year, $5 or $6 million deal. I just like, you know, both these guys being relatively young. I would rather be able to lock up a guy like Key, who I think we could get for a more long-term option, but at a reasonable price. Whereas Dante Fowler, I think long-term will be looking for big money again. Overall, again, I wouldn't hate the move, you know, and obviously if we were to bring in Dante Fowler, that would mean that maybe negotiations so far with Arden Key haven't gone well. Maybe Key and his agent, in terms of the money that they're looking for, are in a completely different, you know, realm than what the 49ers are looking to give them. So if it does happen, I think it means the end of Arden Key in San Francisco. But look, I'll be happy if we bring him in, because there's another guy to get after those quarterbacks like Stafford and Wilson and Kyler Murray, and then all the other guys that we play throughout the year. But overall, guys, I'd like to hear your thoughts on whether we should bring in Dante Fowler, what you think of him as a player. So let's say if you're a Jags fan, a Falcons fan, or a Rams fan, what you think of Dante Fowler, and whether it would be a good move for the 49ers. And again, want to appreciate all these recent subscribers. Feel free to leave your comments here, like the video. It really helps out the channel. And I'm going to say 2 things right now, guys. Number 1 is the butt counts, and number 2 is I'm going to catch y'all on the flip side.